I've reviewed a lot of crap movies on this channel, but I can't for the life of me think of a movie that's more pointless, drawn out, derivative, and unasked for. This movie looks like someone tried to use style over substance and got confused how to do it halfway through. This entire project feels like it went out of its way to insult Dr. Seuss. I cannot think of a better movie to go after for this year's Big Blockbuster Bastardization. So, yes, this is an anniversary special. No, stop! We are not celebrating right now. I am too pissed off. The Cat in the Hat was one of the most iconic books written by children's author Theodore Geisel, known by his pen name as Dr. Seuss, creator of some of the most recognized kids' books in the world today. To say that The Cat in the Hat was a success would be a tremendous understatement. According to a 2001 article by Publishers Weekly, The Cat in the Hat was among the top 10 best-selling children's books of all time. Within the first 3 years of production, the book had sold more than 1 million copies. Millions of people the world over fondly remember reading The Cat in the Hat, and the cat has since gone on to become a mascot of sorts for kids. And the striped hat is apparently popular with raves, though I haven't the faintest idea why. Amusingly enough, while Dr. Seuss did do a lot to bolster children's literacy rates, he kind of did it out of spite. Between the 1930s and the 1960s, the popular phonics books to teach kids how to read were the Dick and Jane books. You know, those extremely stale books that just reek of 1950s family values. Though by today's standards, they're so awkwardly written that they're kind of required to become memes.
Dick likes Jane. Jane likes Dick. Oh. Funny Dick. Father has killed the alien.
Not only did Dr. Seuss's books overtake the Dick and Jane books and replace them as the go-to reading material for kids, but he twisted the knife by relentlessly mocking the books afterwards. He's quoted as saying, "I take great pride in taking Dick and Jane out of most school libraries. That is my greatest satisfaction." He even stated that toppling Dick and Jane was what made The Cat in the Hat his favorite work. Dr. Seuss won this little battle because he tried to appeal to children's imaginations and just tried to have fun. The Dick and Jane books were just insipid slices of life where nothing could really go wrong and therefore nothing could be interesting. So take a lesson from the cat himself. You want fun? Add a little chaos. I'm paraphrasing, of course. But then they made a live-action movie. Released in 2003, The Cat in the Hat is proof positive that absolutely nothing is sacred in Hollywood. The movie stars an underutilized Dakota Fanning, a sad Mike Myers, and Alec Baldwin in what might actually be his most humiliating role to date.
Sparkle, sparkle, sparkle.
No, it's worse than that. This movie was so bad that while it was in production, studio executives referred to it as the Shitty Kitty movie. Everything was done haphazardly, despite some of the talent they were able to rope into this. They even had an original musical score composed by Randy Newman's cousin, David Newman. At least the score isn't too bad, and even won an award for Best Music. The movie also won a Razzie for Worst Excuse for an Actual Movie, an award that I swear they must have made up just to mock this fetid garbage. So just how many ways does the movie botch up the source material? What did Mike Myers agree to be in this disaster? Am I going to die of alcohol poisoning today? Well, let's find out for ourselves as we chaotically stumble through The Cat in the Hat, a Big Blockbuster Bastardization. Before the movie even starts, though, we have to deal with the DVD intro menu. Alright, come on, let me skip to the movie.
Whoa, cool.
Oh my god, where's the play button?
That was rather rude.
I wouldn't even bother complaining about this except the kid's acting is terrible and I can't skip any of it.
Oh, hello there. I'm Sally, and welcome to the Cat in the Hat DVD.
Shut up!
And I'm Conrad. And if you click over here, I'll show you some real cool stuff about the film.
This isn't even the real movie yet! Why must you torment me like this? So the movie begins for real with a sweeping overview of a small town surrounded by lovely green hills. We also get a narrator speaking in the only rhyme of the movie.
In the valley that stretches from this hill to that hill, a city is nestled. That city is Anvil.
Use of passive voice, lose 50 points. So we're shown the inside of the Humberflube real estate office, where the interior decorator decided to paint everything in what I can only describe as baby shit green. And we meet the boss, Mr. Humberflube, no doubt a balanced and effective leader.
Fired. I beg your pardon? Fired. But I...
Oh, I bet the HR department loves this guy. Also, he has this overplayed version of OCD, so he goes through a lifetime supply of hand sanitizer in about a week. Actually used 11 squeezes, lose another 50 points. So, yeah, the boss's entire character can be summed up as the OCD guy who says the word fired weird.
You're fired!
More importantly, this scene shows us the mother of the two kids from the book. It also shows us what kind of dialogue we have to look forward to.
What do you mean you're leaving? You're a babysitter. Babysitters don't leave, they sit. Baby leavers leave.
Now, I'm not going to harp on the writing too much because this is a kid's movie based on a kid's book. Besides, what kind of a critic would I look like if I complained about the absurdity of Dr. Seuss, Armand White? No, this scene sets up two elements that weren't in the book. First is the characters. While there was a mother in the book, she only appeared at the very end. She really served as a general threat to the kids when they realized how messy the house became due to their horseplay and how much trouble they were going to be in when she got home. The boss was entirely absent. Just as well because I don't think Seuss would have written a character this badly.
You're fired!
Shut up! Second was this party that the boss introduced. See, now if the kids mess up the house, it's not just that their mom will kick their asses, but she'll be fired and the family will become destitute. All Joan has to do is hope that her kids can behave themselves.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nevins, your attention please. You are about to witness the third most spectacular stunt ever performed under this roof.
Does someone want to tell the kid this is not how you do carbo loading? And that's gross. Someone was actually paid to write a script with the words, "Conrad stuffs a loaf of bread into his pants." Geez, right now this movie looks like Jared Fogel's Instagram. So the kids are Conrad and Sally, played by Spencer Breslin and Dakota Fanning respectively. Conrad is an overly destructive brat and Sally is a know-it-all narc.
I tried to tell him, Mom. Mom's throwing a very important party, I said. All of her important clients will be here. But he went right ahead and wrecked the house and let Nevins get away.
They're very flat characters whose flaws are smashed right over your head, but oddly enough, that's not why I don't like them. As lazily written as these two are, I actually think they have too much character. In the book, the kids had no personalities, outside of being bored. That was intentional though, because the kids were basically a proxy for the kids reading the book. By leaving them as simple cardboard cutouts, someone reading the book could easily insert themselves in the characters' places and let their imaginations flourish that way. By giving the kids these distinct character flaws and obvious arcs to follow, they necessarily detach themselves from the audience and stand out as their own, which is not how they were meant to be in the book. True, you probably couldn't write a feature-length film with only the blandest of characters that aren't in Twilight, but then maybe that should tell you that this entire movie was a bad idea. And before anyone points it out in the comments, yes, I'm aware that I have used the opposite argument against Twilight, but the audiences are different, so the standards are different. Well, the mom gets home and inadvertently saves Conrad from lunging into the front door just so he can crash into her car and get up without a hint of remorse.
Hey Mom, what's up?
These kids are walking advertisements for contraceptives. And it doesn't help that the mom is a total Stepford wife.
As soon as you 2 weeks ago, you said she was good. Ergo, I scheduled it. See?
Quiet! Nevins! I said quiet!
But at least, they're not playing Larry Quinn.
Knock, knock, knock. Someone lose a dog?
Larry is this sleazy con artist dating the mom whose entire plotline seems to revolve around sending Conrad to a military academy. Relatable goal, though we never find out why he wants that. It's just an added conflict to help pad out the movie, because the mom getting fired wasn't bad enough. See, that's the problem with the movie. It's already stretched to hell despite all the plot threads it's adding. The movie loses all immersion after a while and feels like they're just forcing the problems and the jokes. Even the kids this was made for will probably lose all interest in the movie after the first time they watch it. Some books were not meant to be adapted into movies. Hell, even the animated movie that Dr. Seuss wrote himself has aged terribly, with most of the movie flopping along with tiring songs and some plot point about a moss-covered credenza. Oh, and there's Quinn's character. He was made up entirely for the movie, and this right here might be the lowest point in Alec Baldwin's career. Baldwin's talent is completely wasted in this movie. His performance is even more degrading than what he had to give in that weak Thomas the Tank Engine movie.
Joan. Sparkle, sparkle, sparkle.
The only reason I can think of for Baldwin being in this movie is because Satan popped up and gave him the option between being in this movie or literally getting dragged down to hell. And I'm not sure Baldwin made the right choice. So Quinn leaves and the mom needs to focus on getting things ready for the party. But then she gets a call from her boss asking her to come back into work.
Joan, I need you to come back to the office.
Despite the fact that she left because she didn't have a babysitter, and you know that's why she left? Is telework not an option? Also, if there are going to be business clients at this party tonight, wouldn't you want her to prepare as much as she could? That way she could make sure that everything was nice and tidy and hygienic. This guy's pretty harsh for a germaphobe. But what's also confusing is how quickly the mom was able to find a new babysitter, Mrs. Kwan, played by Amy Hill.
I'm running late. Thanks for babysitting on such short notice.
If it was so easy, then why did you go home in the first place? Oh, probably so we could get this bit of drama.
Maybe if you just behave, I wouldn't have to consider military school. I wish I could trust you.
I wish I had a different mom.
Well, sometimes I wish the same thing.
Should I go back and make sure I don't emotionally scar my child? I'm late for work. But finally, almost 15 minutes into the movie, we finally get something from the book. The two kids just sit in front of a window, bored out of their minds. You know, I do try to be lenient when I make these comparisons, but we are a quarter of the way through the movie! We're so far in that the kids this was made for have already forgotten the titular character. Unfortunately, this is when he makes his entrance.
You should have seen the look on your face. It was like you saw a monster.
A monster? Where?
Appropriate response. So this is the cat, played by Mike Myers.
Scream and run.
While a popular actor in such hits as Austin Powers and Shrek, Myers doesn't have what it takes to pull off this role, in part because of how bad that makeup is. While most of the costume is harmless enough for a kid's movie, Myers' face just kind of pops out from his face. God, I hate this movie. There's this very noticeable edge around his face for the entire movie, and the makeup is so restrictive that Myers can't really show off that many expressions. And he can be very expressive when he needs to be.
Oh, behave. Yeah.
His eyes alone almost never move outside of blinking, and his nose is so big that it's actually a distraction. Every time the cat speaks, I can't help but notice how fake it is. This movie was made before he really got good at the CGI necessary to pull off a model like the cat, so I know why they went this route. But still, they should have stopped and asked themselves, why? Why are we committing this sin? Why must we try to make God hate us? Then again, most Hollywood producers are too busy snorting coke off of dead hookers to care. But the real problem that Myers has to deal with is just how badly written his dialogue is.
Why, I'm the cat in the hat. There's no doubt about that. I'm a super fundiferous feline who's here to make sure that you're me-line, key-line, turpentine. I got nothing. I'm not so good with the rhyming. Not really. No.
Yeah, Michael, do you think we could try that again? Also, why is this line even in here? To excuse why the cat doesn't rhyme? Well, no one else in the movie has rhymed so far except for the narrator. This is like Harry Potter going out of his way to explain why no one at Hogwarts has a cell phone. Part of the reason there are so many stale performances is because of how abnormal so much of the dialogue is.
I can't believe you whizzed on my taco!
And when the lines are amusing, it's only because they've been taken out of context and you don't see the mountains of buildup leading to the punchline.
Where did you come from?
How do I put this? When a mommy cat and a daddy cat love each other very much.
Yeah, and then there's the excessive amount of adult humor in the movie.
Dirty hoe? Who is this? Oh.
That's my mom.
Awkward. Yeah.
S-L-O-W?
Yeah, slow. It's better than the last name we had. Super hydraulic instantaneous transporter.
Oh, you mean...
No! Quick to the slow!
Now, I'm not trying to argue that there should never be adult humor in kids' cartoons and movies. After all, sometimes those are the best jokes.
Please keep up on the grass, shine your shoes, wipe
However, the jokes in this movie are over the top, lack all subtlety, and are so overt that it doesn't come across as funny. It just looks like the movie is trying too hard.
Oh no. He lives.
But that's not much better than the rest of the jokes in this movie.
And this is the lumpiest couch I ever sat on. Who is this dreadfully uncomfortable woman?
And I could tolerate it more if I didn't have to listen to this awful laughter every 30 seconds. But I will be fair and admit that there was one moment that made me chuckle. And I will show it to you now so you don't have to watch the rest of this crap fest.
That's impossible! You're not just wrong, you're stupid. Now wait just a minute. And you're ugly, just like your mum.
Oh god, and this is only 20 minutes in. What else can this stupid movie do to annoy me?
Maestro! I know it is wet and the sun is not sunny, but we can.
If you'll excuse me, I just remembered. I have to go to the hospital. Oh, God. After a musical number that lasts for an unreasonably long time, the movie just evolves into one unfunny skit after another. Kind of like my show, but somehow it has a lower production value. I mean, the book didn't have the strongest plot, but at least it was fun. The movie is just one cringy joke after another.
Cat, your tail.
What about it? Oh, I see. I've chopped it off. Well, that's interesting because... Son of a bitch!
Ugh.
Oh my god.
Ugh.
This filthy thing?
She was gonna wear that tonight and you ruined it.
Honey, it was ruined when she bought it.
Ugh. Ah! God! Oh, my neck. Somebody get a chiropractor. These jokes are torture to get through. I'm not exaggerating when I say those 3 examples came from the same 2-minute span. And the rest of the movie is like this. The book kept its gags going just long enough to not wear out their welcome. They didn't come across as a forced waste of time just stretching out an already wafer-thin plotline. Now, to be fair, the movie does try to fill out some of that time by giving the kids character arcs. While I would normally applaud this effort, these arcs are kept as basic as possible just to fill in more jokes so the kids watching don't get bored. They can be broken into 3 parts: introducing the problem, giving the kids proof of the problem, and the kids abruptly changing. The kids don't have sudden moments where they learn they need to change. They have pointedly obvious scenes that are shoved in a desperate bid for the movie to pretend that it's not the steaming turd we all know it is.
Why do they always do the opposite? It's so annoying.
Remind you of anyone, Conrad?
I'm probably just being overly pedantic, but other kids' movies and shows can find ways to give similar messages in clever, constructive ways, often through subtext. Hell, a cursory glance at Disney demonstrates that. But this movie focuses so little on the kids' arcs that they're just about pointless. Outside of that, the kids exist as vehicles to assist the cat's jokes. Ah, but speaking of the cat, there is one little behind-the-scenes tidbit that you may not have heard of. Apparently, Mike Myers is kind of a dick. In an interview, Amy Hill said that Myers was a rude nightmare diva who made everyone's lives miserable. Apparently, Myers hired an assistant whose job it was to stand there with chocolate in an open Tupperware container and hand it over whenever Myers demanded it. We're talking peak diva levels at that point, and it didn't end there. Bo Welch was the director, and this was his directorial debut, and he didn't have the clout or experience to keep Myers in his place as an actor. Myers would constantly overrule Welch, to the point that Myers was practically co-directing the movie. Hey, Michael, do you think we could try— Shut up, Paul! Okay. It becomes pretty obvious that no one had a handle on Myers, since he either underperforms every scene or hams it up to 11, and not in a good way.
Remember, kids, there's nothing faster than slow. That's backwards, it makes no sense. Look at you. Arr.
I'm just gonna speed through the rest of the movie here. Thing 1 and Thing 2 are introduced, they act really annoying. The dog gets loose again, Alec Baldwin catches him and tries to bring him into the mom's office as proof of the kid's negligence, which seems like a lot more work than necessary, but whatever. And the kids get the dog back, only to discover that the cat's magical box of chaos opened up and has turned the inside of their house into Salvador Dali's wet dream. Look, I want to compare the movie to the book more, but there's nothing left to compare. There are maybe a total of 10 minutes of comparable footage, and that's me being generous. The kids get bored, the cat shows up, the things get loose, and the cat cleans things up in the end. The movie just stretches the plot out further than my HOA stretches out my patience. To get the same experience with the book, you'd have to read one word every couple of hours. Eventually, we get to the end, and the house has been turned into a realm of discordant chaos. You see, the box that the cat brought the things in was also a portal to his dimension, which, when left unguarded, allowed for all this weirdness to spread throughout the house. And yet it looks perfectly normal from the outside, riddle me that one. So the kids close the box and learn a valuable lesson.
Look around, Cat. You were right. It's fun to have fun, but you have to know how. And you don't know when enough is enough.
And this revelation is exactly what the cat needed to hear, because he comes in and cleans up the entire house just in time for the mom to get home. Oh, yeah, and I forgot to mention that Baldwin fell into a pile of goo while the house was in the chaos realm, so now he's covered in purple and spouting nonsense like a paranoid schizophrenic.
The house was alive. The wall was made of paper. I fell off the cliff. And the giant cat. The giant cat.
Don't worry, Alec, the movie's almost over. So, the party goes off without a hitch, the kids learn to stop being terrible people, and the mom loosens up a little. And none of the actors put this movie on their resumes. The end. So, what did I think of this movie? Oh, God! A lack of passion will ruin any artwork, and there isn't an ounce of passion anywhere in this entire film. None of the actors care. None of the crew cares. Hell, I'm pretty sure you can sense the apathy stemming from some of the props. This movie could only exist because some deranged studio executive thought he could live out the plot to the producers. No talent was assigned, and it shows. There's no reason to watch it outside of an endurance test or an easy review for YouTube. Skip this one if you value your sanity. The Cat in the Hat gets a 0 out of 5. While the movie was a disaster, the book is anything but. It's a very simple story, but like many of Dr. Seuss's works, it's great for helping kids learn how to read. With an easy rhyming scheme, fun visuals, and decades of fans, The Cat in the Hat is a classic for a reason. Young kids will love it, and the adults who grew up reading it probably still love it. I know I certainly do. This book earns a 5 out of 5. You already know where this is going. The adaptation fails on every level. The only things it got right were superficial. There were 2 kids, there was a giant talking cat, there was some mild chaos. But every other element made this a chore to get through, like the endless barrage of unfunny jokes, the extra characters, the multiple set pieces that somehow don't expand on the universe at all. This movie is about as faithful an adaptation as a businessman wandering down the red light district. As an adaptation, The Cat in the Hat gets a 0 out of 5. So forget this awful, awful movie. Get yourself a regular cat instead, because they're fluffy, and they're adorable, and... Ash! What did I tell you about climbing on my desk? Get down from there, you little brat!
Come along with me, in search of Dr. Seuss.
We'll try to catch him if we can.
He's out there on the loose. Come along with me, in search of Dr. Seuss. I know that we will find him, it'll be a cinch. We'll ask the Grinch,
Ask the Grinch.
soon he'll be within our reach. Ask the snitchers on the bench. Oh, the places you'll go, there is fun to be done. There are games to be won. I said, oh, the places you'll go.
You're off to great places. Today is your day.
Your mountain is waiting.
So get on your way.
Oh, the places we'll go. In search of Dr. Seuss. The places we'll go.